Yeah, here they come. And we certainly wish them well. I suspect West Bromwich Albion are going to need all the luck in the world here against such a strong Manchester City side. There's our referee, Declan Bourne. And we could take a look at both teams here. Now, West Bromwich Albion make 2 changes from that 4-2 win at Norwich. Ryan Colesby, newly arrived from Wolverhampton Wanderers, into the side. We've already mentioned Adam Okorodudu. Cole Deeming not available. Oliver Bostock on the bench. Palmer and Onyemachi, as Stewart has already picked out. Absolutely key, either side of Okorodudu. Can they use that width to create for Okorodudu and for Colesby running in behind? Well, as for Manchester City, they also make 2 changes from that 6-1 win at Leeds, but they bring real strength back into the side in the shape of Caden Braithwaite, the captain. Harrison Miles also returning. Matty Henderson-Hall and Reece Thomas, the 2 who are left out. And when you look at Parker, Noble and Fooney, they all started last season's final when Manchester City, of course, won comfortably. Warhurst came on as a substitute in that game. This is a Manchester City side that knows how to win things.
And the player missing from that back 4 is Simpson Boozy, who's obviously played in the first team quite a lot of games this season and in Europe. Some of these players will get a chance next pre-season to go to probably America, because so many of the senior players are out, and that's when they've got their chance again to impress the manager.
And it might sound like a basic question, but you're used to those from me, Stuart, but what is it that impresses managers in games like this? What are they looking for? Obviously goals, obviously the kind of thing that impresses us, but you know what I mean. Beyond that, what are they looking for?
Individual brilliance. A player that can manipulate the ball, a player that shows great composure, a player that can pick out a pass. And for the defenders, nowadays it's players that can play out from the back, but also be strong and good defensively and read danger.
And temperament too, I would imagine, is important.
Yes, absolutely. When you're analysing any player, you've got to look at their temperament, their character. Without that, you don't become a player.
And so we're ready to get our second quarter-final underway. Arsenal, Manchester United tomorrow. Aston Villa against Plymouth comes up on the 14th of March. A little bit of a wait for that one. Watford and West Brom and Plymouth flying the flag as championship clubs. Watford already through. Could West Brom pull off what would be a fairly big upset here against such a talented Manchester City side? But I remember, and I know it was against Arsenal, Stuart, but a couple of seasons ago watching the FA Youth Cup semi-final with you, another strongly fancied Manchester City side, a player sent off early. Arsenal ended up scraping the win. They lost in the final to West Ham, but it shows you how things can go wrong for favourites in this competition.
Yeah, just an early viewpoint here. Braithwaite, the number 5, who's the plan at left back, keeps stepping into midfield, as is the want of Pep Guardiola at first team level. So often you see players do that from their full-back position. Here he's on the ball again. He's going to be a key player for them.
Here's Stephen Mfuni. And now Divine Mukasa. They'd love to start strong. They'd love an early goal. Manchester City, the message from Lee Downing and Che Thompson. His assistant would have been to keep it tight, to try and keep a hold of the ball if you can, but it's so hard against Manchester City. They won it back there, though. And there's Idrissa Dowda, and they give it straight back, and that's what you can't do against these Manchester City youth sides. Here is Heskey, brother of Jayden, star in this competition last year, and son, of course, of the mighty Emile Heskey. There's Noble. Turned 18 yesterday, Kian Noble. Been at the club since he was an under-12. Yorkshireman. Here's Finley Gorman, another Yorkshireman born in Leeds. Arrived from that Leeds academy a couple of seasons ago. Manchester City don't just scout lower down, they scout other academies too. It is a complex world, the world of youth football.
You only have to look what's gone on between Arsenal and Manchester United, who you talked about playing against each other. Players have swapped clubs on several occasions.
Absolutely right. Kadu with a chance to dart forward for the first time. Now Harrison Miles. There's Braithwaite. Oh, lovely ball fed through. First big chance deflected behind. Finlay Gorman denied.
Well, the passing, the movement has been excellent in this first few minutes. West Brom hardly had a touch of the ball. There is Braithwaite stepping into midfield. Ball round the corner. Might just take a deflection. I think the defender just about got a touch on it. Good link-up play from Warhurst.
Yeah, it was a good challenge in the end, just about, from Noah Dupont, but City working the angles again. That was a lazy swing of the left boot from Stephen Mfuni. Now Mukasa. Lovely ball around the corner. What a good start this has been from Manchester City.
Just no time on the ball for the West Brom players. Been a really good start from Man City.
Won 14 of 16 in that under-18 Premier League North. Only defeat was against Manchester United back in August. Here's Heskey. 17 unbeaten in all competitions since that loss against Manchester United.
Yeah, nice little step over. It's the 1v1 ability I was talking about before the game. He just buys himself a little bit of space to get the cross in.
$15 goals in that under-18 Premier League so far for Regan Heskey. Some going. Nice habit to get into, goal scoring, as his father found out.
Foul here on Colesby by Miles.
Interesting situation for Ryan Colesby, arriving from Wolverhampton Wanderers recently. Let go by them and so picked up by West Brom. They've given it away here, West Brom, and McAdoo with the run. Now he's down, holding his face, suggesting that there was more than an arm used to shrug him off there. But the referee happy with it.
It's the centre half that comes out, Dupont, I think. Here's the pace, just changes direction, and Dupont just puts his arm across him. Really good play from McAdoo.
Noah Dupont, the New Zealand under-17 international. There's Lee Downing with Che Thompson alongside him. He's actually a scholar himself, Lee Downing, back in the day. Didn't quite make it, now in his 16th year of coaching. Just going back to that Dupont incident, you were okay with the challenge?
It's not a good challenge. He's making no attempt to play the ball. He's been beaten, really. He's a lucky boy, I would say.
Yeah, if we had VAR, it's one of those ... Oliver Rice, what a job to have, but what pressure in the job. Great job with the youth players at Hertha Berlin over the years and caught the eye of Manchester City. But you're expected to win, if not everything, then most things. Here's Alfie Morn. Nicely done by Rio Palmer, one of the players that Stewart picked out.
Only a Yamachi. Haven't seen him get involved too much in the game. He's out on the left-hand side, Palmer on the right. And a Dudu playing through the middle. Not sure how much of the ball they're going to see.
Well, that's the instant problem, isn't it? When you play against this Manchester City youth side, you almost know that your possession figures are going to be low 30s.
That's only if you decide to sit off them and let them play. You could take the big gamble and go and press them high up the field.
Then it's a question of whether you're good enough to do that, I suppose. I suppose that decision is based on the players that you have, isn't it?
But there also is that fear factor about looking at a team and a club that have got so many good young players and won the tournament last year with many of the same players.
Here's Mfuni. Every single player so comfortable on the ball. I know it's an obvious thing to say these days, but still so noticeable with Manchester City. And that was a little late, though. A little over-eager.
As the centre forward coming a bit shorter. Got on Dudu. His first touch wasn't great, but just got away from the next challenge. Heskey with the foul. What was very evident in the game against Leeds from Man City was their pressing from the front.
Now then, first chance for Divine Onyemachi to run here. Can he make anything of it? Lovely step overs from him there. And there is a touch of West Bromwich Albion quality.
Well, they played beyond the pressure on that far side of the field, and suddenly Onyemachi is 1v1 up against Noble. A couple of little step overs, great bit of skill. Just fires it across that 6-yard box. Defender's too square.
Dudu just couldn't get there.
That might just give them a bit of confidence. Foul by Warhurst.
5 assists for Alfie Morn, the West Brom right back in that under-18 Premier League. And when you consider they're bottom of the under-18 Premier League South table, won just 2 of 15, don't create that much. 5 assists from fullbacks, pretty good in relative terms. Some good names involved in the youth teams at West Bromwich Albion, and Lee Downing and Che Thompson do a good job with this under-18 side. Well, growing in confidence maybe. That was Onyemachi.
He might have been better off just helping that back into the danger area. But not great defending by Man City. 3 players getting caught under the ball.
And he scored 8 times in that under-18 Premier League this season. And again, the same point I was making about Morn, the fullback. That's a good figure. Shows that he knows where the goal is, and we've seen that here as well. Few moments just to give them a little bit of hope. Last couple of minutes.
This time they are pressing the ball high up the field, and they're going to win it.
Just a sign that they are just growing in confidence here. There's Colesby, the new player, trying his luck from range, and he was never quite dipping in time. It was Charlie Blackshields. Colesby will be pleased to get involved in the game, having just joined. Nice for these players to be playing here at the Hawthorns. Of course, they'll dream one day of playing here in front of a packed house. You got fond memories of playing here?
Some fond memories, yeah. I'm going to ask you a question. I played with somebody who made his 1,000th appearance in league football at this ground for one of the clubs I played for.
Wow, can I have a think?
You can have a think.
I'm going to say Billy Bonds.
No.
Okay, I'm going to keep thinking. I went a bit early there, one of Stuart's trivia questions. There's Mfuni. Could take a while, this, couldn't it? Firstly, I've got to work out which club, and then we go on from there. Here's Makedu.
Just starting from the back again. Just trying to get control of the game, Man City.
Here's Mfuni.
Well, I talked about Braithwaite coming from left back to go infield, but he's almost playing infield all the time now. Mfuni is on the left-hand side of what you could call a back three.
Forward by Noble. Just overhit there. Lee Downing in charge of this West Bromwich Albion under-18 side. And Tony Mowbray, the senior manager, great to see him back in football after his illness. Just as hawkishly watching every single kick as ever. One of the really good guys.
He's been in management a long time now, hasn't he? Different clubs.
Was he a goalkeeper, the player that you're searching for? I think I've worked it out. Stuart's nodding. Initials SO?
No.
Oh, wrong goalkeeper. So it goes on and on. Thinking to do for Oliver Rice. Goalless between West Bromwich Albion and Manchester City.
Hasn't got a left back to play it to, because that's where Braithwaite is. He just handles the ball very well there. But see, they're getting tighter now, West Brom. Closing the ball down with greater urgency. Initial fear has gone away now.
Cleared by Brady, the Republic of Ireland under-19 international goalkeeper.
He might have his work cut out tonight. He's going to have a good game, you'd imagine, at some point. Just talking about youth, the FA Youth Cup and youth team players. It wasn't so long ago that Liam Delat was playing for Man City as a centre forward in this tournament. Look what he's doing now at Ipswich.
Here's Mukasa. Well, that's the joy, isn't it, of watching the FA Youth Cup. You see players like Waneri as well, we watched a couple of seasons ago, and so many others coming through.
Before that, Mainu and Garnacho for Manchester United in the final.
Yeah.
Mainu, who was one of England's best players at the European Championships.
Two of the many international players who've come through this competition. Cross took a slight nick. It was well held in the end by Brady.
Nobody getting across the front of the first defender. Weren't ready for the cross.
It's a future England international in that West Brom side that won in 1976, the one that beat Wolves 5-0. Very sweet win that was. Future England player in the shape of one Derek Statham played in that team in 76. They produced some very good players down at the Hawthorns over the years.
He was a bit unlucky, Derek Statham, with injuries, but he also had Kenny Sanson in front of him. He played for Arsenal and was probably played over 90 times, I think, for England. He was a Very good left back, exactly where Statham played.
Derek Statham was the Vincent Condella of those times for England. Player who would have played probably 100 times for France if it weren't for Lizarazu. I always remember that battle between them, not unlike the battle in goal with Shilton and Clemens. Here's Kean Noble. In from Mukasa. Ball floated in towards that far post and it loops over the crossbar.
Well, I can see what he was trying to do. He's trying to head it to that far post and loop it in. It's the right header, just doesn't quite get the right technique on it in the end, on the right connection. Good cross coming into the box from Parker. That's been one of the criticisms of Manchester City when they don't play quite so well at any level, is do they get enough balls into the box? A lot of passing, sometimes just for the sake of passing around the edge of the box. Can they be a bit more penetrative with crosses into the box and that final pass?
Just starting to find a way. Mukasa drifted over towards that right-hand side. The chase on for Braithwaite.
Almost a very good reverse pass here. Good vision. Sees the run of Braithwaite. Just gets there, the defender.
Just got a touch, didn't he, Dupont? Shake of the head from Oliver Rice. This goalkeeper, by the way, just to check, it was their 1000th appearance, full stop, not for the same club.
Yeah,
full stop.
Yeah, full stop.
Oh, that's what threw me a bit, I think. Still goalless. West Brom still battling hard.
He's been competitive in midfield. Idrissa. He's a talented player, wants to get tight to people, can manipulate the ball and play around pressure.
Born in Brescia, Idrissa Dauda, in Italy. Italy under 17 international. There's a brother Anas in the academy at Stoke.
There's a great example of his quality.
Yeah, absolutely. Brescia, not a bad place to be born if you're a central midfield player. One of the greatest ever Italian central midfielders, Andrea Pirlo, very much of that city. Sandro Tonali as well coming through at Brescia. That'd be quite good company to join, wouldn't it? Here's Mukasa. City just trying to crank up the heat here, but Heskey couldn't find a way through. West Brom defended quite well, 1-against-1.
Yeah, good from Morn. The player that's got a slight problem is Rio Palmer. He's not quite sure whether to press that little bit higher or stay where he is. And he's been played around. He's getting lots of advice from the touchline. It's almost confusing him at times.
Here's Mafuni. Mukasa.
It's 3 or 4 times now that Mukassa's had a chance to play that through ball and not quite got it right. Hit one good cross into the box.
Here's Kian Noble. It's going to be West Brom's throw.
Screen right.
Don't think Finley Gorman agreed with that.
Yes. People play and play. Yes, right, right.
West Brom semi-finalists in 2018-19 under Mike Scott, lost against Manchester City in that semi. A couple of seasons later, lost at the same stage against Villa. So you go along with that win, and they've had a pretty good time of things in the Youth Cup. Here's Gorman. Now it's Regan Heskey, looking for that little bit of space. There's Mukasa, Heskey again.
Well, I think he chose the wrong option when he first got the ball. And that was to come inside where it was very crowded, couldn't get his shot away. And then when they set the play up again, Mukasa was thinking about shooting with his right foot, tees it up. I think he's got a hit through the back of the ball with his laces there. He was trying to bend it into the far corner. Didn't get it right.
Lost possession there, Dupont lost control and then did all he could really just to slide that out of play. He's actually played in Premier League 2 already, Noah Dupont, so he's gone up a level from the under-18 Premier League, a structure beneath the Premier League, very competitive, high class. There's Morn.
Can play at left back as well, Funi. Today he's playing as a left-sided centre-half, but at times it is well, most of the time it's a back three. He's on the left-hand side of it, so he can get forward. There's a bit of space in front of him.
And he didn't just play in last season's final, he scored. Stephen Mfuni went on the pre-season tour to the USA. You were talking about those opportunities they get.
Well, I was in the US when they went out there, and it was a very young side that they put out on numerous occasions. Some of those players have made appearances this season for Man City.
See Caden Braithwaite down there, the third youngest player to play for the senior side at Manchester City. Debut in the League Cup against Watford back in September. Mukasa with a twist and a turn and a flick, and still they can't quite find a way.
He's going to be a little bit disappointed with himself so far, Mukasa. It's 4 or 5 times now that he's tried to play balls into the front or try to pick out a pass, and it hasn't quite happened for him. He's finding lots of space, he's had a lot of the ball.
Tony Mowbray will be quite happy watching this. He loves a defensively organised side, Tony Mowbray. Towering figure at centre-half himself, and they've done pretty well. Tough task in front of them. Just that one little moment of inspiration from Onyemachi. That was floated in his direction again. Now Makedu. And there's Mukasa. Regan Heskey. Heskey again. Here's Mfuni, who did well to twist out of that challenge.
It's been a frustrating opening 27 minutes for that man there, Rio Palmer. He's got good qualities, but he hasn't been able to show them so far. Hardly had a touch of the ball. Had to do a lot of closing down.
Stephen Reed there alongside Tony Mowbray. And stolen away here by Palmer. Didn't do much with it.
That's the problem when you don't have too many touches of the ball.
Just to be careful with that ricochet. Oliver Watmuff, take your eyes off that and there's trouble. It counts probably as a shot on target. Lancaster-born goalkeeper for Manchester City.
The clearance from the centre-half.
Well, we've seen stranger moments than things like that going in football.
Often you see goalkeeper starting positions much higher than that. He was fortunate he was back in a good position, or what I would call a good position for a goalkeeper.
Especially ball-playing goalkeepers. Here's Mukasa. And Fooney. Now Heskey. Well, it's a good ball in, and Brady was just a bit uncertain there.
You're absolutely right, good ball. Probably should have expected somebody to race in and try and get a header on this. I think the goalkeeper might just pull his arms away at the last minute.
Here's Mukasa. Might just open up now, deflected through. The shot from Finlay Gorman, but Louis Brady holds on.
Yeah, I think the deflection just slowed it down. He's finding a bit of space, Finlay Gorman here. There's the slight deflection off the centre-back.
It's Dupont again, isn't it?
Yep.
Having a good game. Going back to that West Bromwich Albion win, as they were introduced in the third round, that 6-4 win at Harrogate. Harrogate scored twice in the last 4 minutes, and I said at the start it was 1-1 going into the 66th minute of the game. Ended up finishing 4-4 and then 6-4 after extra time. It was really remarkable.
We saw a magnificent game last year, Millwall versus Leeds, didn't we?
Here's Braithwaite. Now Heskey. Back in from McAdoo. Yeah, that was a game for the ages, that Millwall Leeds one, wasn't it? Here's Regan Heskey. Casa made the run outside him.
A couple of that touches now for the right winger, Rio Palmer, playing in front of this man, Morn.
The longer it goes on at 0-0, the more West Brom will feel they're in it. But they're going to have to find a route to goal. They know that deep down. And that, I suspect, will be their problem. That was a well-timed challenge by Rhys Morris, the Welshman, the West Brom captain. Great experience in the under-17 Euros with Wales, those age group tournaments so important for these young players. Oliver Bostock is on the bench also in that Welsh squad. Here's McAdoo. Now Mfuni, Caden Braithwaite. Here's Regan Heskey. Very patient so far, Manchester City. Now McAdoo. Well, sliding it across, but no one there gambling.
Well, they had 4 players in the box and nobody made a run to get into that 6-yard box. Just watch the players on the edge of the box, just not alive to what might happen. Man City have proved over the years that you don't have to have big players to get on the end of crosses. And one season in particular when Aguero was playing up front and Sterling was playing on the left-hand side. He scored lots of goals from crosses just coming in at the back post. Usually from a cross from Riyad Mahrez. One of your favourite players, I know.
Yeah, wonderfully skillful player. Now then, they're out of position. Here's Morn. McAdoo pressing high and very nearly winning it back. Did well there, Idris Dowda, to get it clear. Riyad Mahrez, of course, coming through the... Talking of academies today, coming through at Le Havre. Fantastic academy in the north of France.
Yeah, here's the good pass. That's really good from Mukasa. First touch was good, but he was never going to get that past the first defender, was he, Warhurst? His run was good, his touch was good. Just the wrong decision at the end of it. Just trying to play in between those 2 centre-halves. Dupont and Moorish.
Mfuni. Now Harrison Miles. Here's Gorman. Warhurst was waiting in behind him. Mukasa! Warhurst gets there. Goalkeeper did well initially, but then Matty Warhurst got there first. And Manchester City lead here.
Well, I have to say it's a fairly decent ball. It's not the perfect connection from Mukasa. But on his weaker right foot, he took the gamble. You can see he was just onside. Gorman. Decent ball into the box. There's the strike. Could he have pushed it round the post? Probably, but let's not criticise the goalkeeper. Warhurst was alert and alive to the situation. Just got there first as the defender threw himself to the ground. This is a nice ball. Good run to start with through the inside right position. And there's the easy finish for Warhurst.
Should Morris, the centre-half, get there first? It's difficult when he's retreating, isn't it?
It is. He's probably just standing still for a bit too long. But it's a good goal from Man City. And Gorman's finding lots of space. I would call it through an inside right position, the sort of position that we saw Kevin De Bruyne play so brilliantly on numerous occasions over the years. Making those little runs in behind the fullback and behind the left-sided centre-back.
There's Caden Braithwaite. One of those examples there, the shot from Mukasa, it shows that you don't always have to strike it cleanly to make it awkward. Sometimes when you catch volley perfectly, it's almost easier for the goalkeeper. That was really awkward, drifting away from Brady and spinning and kicking. Here's Regan Heskey. Now Mfuni. More confident now, aren't they? It's a bit of a spring in the Manchester City step here. Here's Mukasa. I think that could be ominous for West Brom. Mfuni. Now Heskey. Behind for a corner. They feel, I think, a second here might just seal them a place in the semi-final.
Yeah, good 1v1 defending on numerous occasions now from Morn. Heskey hasn't gone past him that often. Just about did enough, the right back. It's a good battle between these two players.
Take it.
So Ryan McAdoo goes short with the corner. Here's Mukasa.
Not been his night so far, Heskey. We know he's got great quality, we know he's got that little bit of speed, but hasn't really shown it so far. Got the stats in front of us, but I would imagine Mfuni's touched the ball as much as anybody on the pitch so far. Hardly giving it away. Being quite progressive with his passing.
Yeah, I know he's a player you like, and he's had a real influence on the game. Here's McAdoo. Say the same for him. He's done some really good work down that right-hand side. The goal, though, scored from very close range by Matty Warhurst. Manchester City at the moment looking for another. Here's Braithwaite.
And the last shot from Miles, Harrison Miles. The player that's causing one or two problems with his positional play has been Gorman. Once again, that was started off when a ball was played by Miles to Gorman. Centre-half's not quite sure whether to come out and pick him up, or the midfield players aren't quite sure whether to go back and mark him.
So Brady about to clear. By the way, before half-time, going back to the 1000th appearance goalkeeper, PJ are the initials, presumably.
Absolutely.
The mighty Pat Jennings at West Brom. You know what?
Arsenal at the time.
No, of course. I meant more, the landmark was at West Brom. Here's Parker. Oh, good running from Parker, that's a chance. Warhurst spinning and just couldn't catch it right.
Well, he found a bit of space in the box, and you have to say Parker did really well. Just a change of direction, gets to the byline. I think he picks out Warhurst, and he plays it from one foot onto the other. But he's got good awareness in the box. We've already seen that with his goal and the run he made when goalkeeper was out of position.
As you probably worked out, the SO I referenced was, of course, from your Coventry days. I was thinking of Steve Igrizovic, but Pat Jennings makes a lot more sense.
I'm not sure that he played 1,000 games, Steve Igrizovic.
I agree. I was panicking, Stuart, come on. People think you give me the answer and we work it out, you don't. Played a lot of games.
Two great goalkeepers. Pat Jennings at the time, one of the best in the world, I would say.
I just talked to Jerry Armstrong, our old friend and colleague, about Pat Jennings. He talked to you for some time about him. Oh, that might have hit a hand. The West Brom players thought they had a chance there. No VAR to look back at it. I think it certainly did hit a hand. It was a question of how.
I think it was Harrison Miles who it hit.
Let's have a look again, Stuart.
Yeah, long throw in, bounces up. Ooh, that's handball. But it's always difficult for the referee to see it without a replay. That's why VAR is in place at times.
And he has to be sure, and it wasn't one of those positions where his assistant could help him. That happened this side of the area, something like that, but the referee's got the best view, if any view. And that's a shame for West Brom. It would have been an unlucky penalty to give away.
There's not much he could have done about it because it actually came off the head of one of the West Brom players and he was quite close to it. But under the current laws, I think that would have been handball.
It's that point of impact, unnatural silhouette, isn't it? And it would have been a penalty. 90 seconds remaining in what's been an interesting first half. West Brom have made it that by making it competitive. Manchester City looking for a second goal. In from Finley Gorman.
They've been fairly solid at the back, the two centre-halves, when the ball's been played into the box in the air.
Harrison Miles. Stewart made the point, causing problems with his positional play, and Makedu trying to do likewise with his quick feet. That's only half cleared. Mukasa can hit it, and it falls kindly for Gorman. That's a good save. Brady did really well there.
Well, there's Gorman in that position again. He reacts well here when the ball's played into the box. Half a clearance, there's the shot, there's the block, and again he's onto it quickly, this time using his left foot. Goalkeeper does well with his legs. That came onto him really quickly. He's been good in the first half, Gorman.
Mukasa to swing it in. Oh, and the header at the far post by Stephen Mfuni, and Manchester City make it 2 on the stroke of half-time, and now they'll believe they have 1 foot at least in that semi-final.
Well, when you see the ball delivered into the box with the height on it and the pace, you expect the goalkeeper to maybe come and get that, but it's not defended well at the far post. The Dudu likewise doesn't really make any attempt to head it. The goalkeeper doesn't come, but he's been excellent throughout the first half, and Mfuni, and that's his reward. An easy header at the far post. And what a great position Manchester City are going in at half-time here.
He enjoyed it as well, didn't he? A bit more than his coach did. These young Manchester City centre-halves with a fine centre-half down there on the bench, along with Oliver Rice in the shape of Kolo Touré. Probably be a few more seconds added for the goal. Well, to think it was a struggle heading into minute number 36, but then Warhurst and then Mfuni both striking. And suddenly, Manchester City in control, and you would worry a bit for West Brom in the second half, the way City can completely dominate. And you have to look at those previous rounds, 5-1 and 6-1 against Millwall and Leeds. Here's Mukasa. Makedu. Useful hit! Number 3. What a good strike that is from Finley Gorman. Brady beaten, and Manchester City, in a couple of blinks of an eye, have surely secured their place in the semi-final now.
Well, again, been really impressed with Finlay Gorman. Hits this one with his left foot. Yes, I don't think he hits it absolutely perfectly, but it's well directed. It's worth having a go as well. Goes in at the near post. McAdoo had the ball pinched off him. Good first touch. And there's that strike into the near post area. He's been excellent throughout the first half. And that's probably about his fourth shot. And eventually he gets his reward.
It's going to be a long second 45 for West Brom. There is the half-time whistle. Manchester City with 3 goals in the last 9 minutes of that first half. First of all, Matty Warhurst from close range after Brady had made a useful save. Then Mfuni at the far post with a thumping header. And then Salt rubbed into that wound by Finlay Gorman with his long-range strike that beat Louis Brady with the last kick of that first half. Well, it's the ultimate uphill struggle now for West Bromwich Albion, because Manchester City suddenly are absolutely rampant here at the Hawthorns. Half-time, it's West Bromwich Albion 0, Manchester City 3. Dunbar McDonald on, so I don't think there's going to be too much rest from a West Bromwich Albion point of view. Oh, we got out a bit early, haven't we? The referee's having a look around. He finally gets a signal. And we're back underway. And what a position this is for these young West Bromwich Albion players to be in. 3-0 down against the quality of Manchester City. So hard for them. Of course, they knew pre-match it would be difficult. They found out just how difficult. And to leak those 2 goals, really 45 plus, is a nightmare for them, because the game is probably gone, and now it's just about trying to win the second half. That would have been the message, Stuart.
Yeah, and just play with a bit more adventure. Try and play on the front foot, try and close down that little bit quicker.
Well, they tried to do something imaginative. Noah Dupont in the end got his foot underneath it. The New Zealander, the rain is starting to drive down here. And I doubt, given the quality of your career and the teams you played for, that you've been in this position too often, but it can't be easy for West Brom.
No, it's difficult for the coach, difficult for the players. How do they approach it? Well, I think they're going to try and press a little bit high. They've got to play with great enthusiasm. They've tried sitting off and allowing Man City the ball. That hasn't really worked for them. They've got nothing to lose. 45 minutes to go and prove to the coaches and the watching manager, Tony Mowbray, they have got some quality. They have got some skill. They have got something about them. Saw that a little bit in the first few minutes with Idrissa.
Certainly a competition in which you can dream, this FA Youth Cup. Hasn't been the case for West Brom tonight, but we've seen plenty of shocks over the years, and this year Watford beat Spurs in the previous round, Plymouth beat Everton, QPR took Arsenal to penalties in round 4, Grimsby took Spurs to pens, Fylde got to round 4, Merstham got to round 4, remember them in the Senior FA Cup a couple of seasons ago.
Yeah, some of your best memories as a footballer come from these games when you're a youngster.
Here's Heskey. Love to make his mark, wouldn't he? Gorman with that 3rd City goal. Now Mukasa. Dunbar McDonald closed down. There's Leclerc, the Moroccan left back for West Brom, London born. Had his hands full tonight.
I think he's going to be quite pleased with his performance in his 1v1s against McAdoo. He did all right. McAdoo's been taken off. He shown some good tenacity. He's got forward on a couple of occasions.
I was going to say as well, for these fullbacks, you mentioned it with Morn in the first half, Leclerc as well has got good stats. A goal and a couple of assists in that under-18 Premier League, but so hard when you're playing Manchester City to get beyond the wide player. It's, as he would have known before, it's a defensive job really on a night like this, largely.
Been at the club a long time now, Keith Dowling. Should I say Lee Dowling?
There's Mafuni. Well, there's a defensive slip, and now Dunbar McDonald. In from Miles, good hit, but held this time by Brady.
Yeah, this time it was Mukasa finding that bit of space through the inside left position. He had a pass outside, that's why the defender doesn't get tight to him, because he thought the ball might be played on the outside. Morn.
Good pressure there from Harry French.
He's come onto the right-hand side, which means that Palmer has gone into the number 10 position.
Problem for West Brom is the more they come forward, the more they're going to be vulnerable. Here's Heskey and now Mukasa. Oh, he goes for the chip. Nearly divine. Glorious bit of skill.
Well, had he got a little bit more angle on it, had more time to come down, but it's a great effort from him. Goalkeeper was beaten. Very fortunate for Brady. He can catch it at the second attempt.
Superb bit of skill, wasn't it?
As soon as he takes his touch square, it enables him to use that technique, because you can then get your foot underneath the ball. It's very difficult to chip the ball if you're going straight onto it, but if you're coming from the side, you can get your foot underneath it, and that's why he took that effort.
If you're my age and you see that little bit of skill, you always think Glenn Hoddle, albeit on the other side, of course.
You're thinking of the game against Watford, aren't you?
Certainly am, yeah.
In early. Stay high. No.
Oh, it's taken quickly, and here's Mukasa again.
Get up.
Headed back across. There's Gorman. Warhurst had a swing and a miss there from close range and really should have scored.
He does well again, Mukasa, just to lift it to the far post. Not a great header. And there's the swing and the miss you were talking about. Eventually they get it cleared. West Bromwich Albion. But there's the chance. Completely misses it. Almost hits his standing leg.
Yeah, I'm not sure it needed that power either if he had his eyes open a bit. Interestingly, Manchester City aren't in cruise control, are they? They look to me like they want more goals here.
I'm sure the coach has asked for that as well.
Here's Leclerc. Oh, lovely bit of skill to get away from Gorman. He's a bit unlucky with the ball forward into the back of Okorodudu, who gets another chance. And here is the attacking left-back Leclerc.
Great play all round from him. Bit of skill, tenacity.
Now Morn. That's a good ball in. It might ricochet anywhere, and it does, and it's blazed wide. There's the chance they've been waiting for. Harry French not able to take it.
Oh, just had a swing with his left foot. He's in a good position. Fullback gets forward, good bit of skill. Decent cross into the box. Man City make a bit of a mess of the clearance. And then he just swings that left boot. It just comes off the outside of his foot rather than his laces.
It's one of those from our angle. It looked like he might have just flashed it wide. I suspect if we see it from a rear angle, it's probably gone well wide. That wasn't the best contact, but he had a swing. Look at this from Leclerc as well. Good pressure from him on Noble.
You see how high he's pushing up. Leclerc.
Here comes the problem at the other end as City just surge forward. Now it's Gorman to curl it. What a game he's having. Finlay Gorman able to just cut inside onto that left foot. And Manchester City now just racing away with this.
Well, they're more open now. Lee Downing has made a change to play with almost three at the back at times. The fullback's high up the field, and then he gets on the ball here. And it's a lovely finish, just chopping it back onto his left foot. I think he's been absolutely outstanding, Gorman. Goalkeeper gets a touch on it, but not enough. But it's the touch here that just takes it back across the defenders, opens it up for him, and then the quality of the strike. A bit like Phil Foden at his best.
Yeah, I can see what you mean with that one. It's well taken by Gorman. I'll just refer you back to those scores from previous rounds. I know they just nicked it past Crystal Palace by 1-0, but good academy at Palace, of course. But 5-1 against Millwall, 6-1 against Leeds. The only thing unlikely about this game matching those at the moment is the one. Can West Brom even find a way to score? The City have been very, very good, and I've been impressed with the way they've taken their time here, Stuart. The plan wouldn't have been to be goalless after the half hour, but no panic at all. They knew the chances would come, and now they are. And here's Heskey trying to add to the pain, and indeed he does. Regan Heskey makes it a couple of goals in a minute and a half. And now City lead by 5-0, and Heskey almost looks embarrassed.
Just right on cue. I was about to say that one of the disappointments may be that the likes of Nikedu and Heskey haven't been at their best, haven't shown their real quality. Well, there we saw it. This is what we've been talking about before the game. This is what we expected from Heskey. Really high and wide on that left-hand side. This time he cuts in on his right foot, and what a good strike. The next player can't get out to him because he takes it so early. Just watch it here. Almost hits it. Boom. Great strike.
Super strike, isn't it? And what do you do now if you're Lee Downing? Because they've been brave. The start of this second half, they did what you asked them to. They sort of threw caution to the wind, but if they keep doing that, this could get very, very ugly indeed in a high-profile FA Youth Cup quarter-final.
And he's changed the system. You see the fullback, the number 3, has been fairly high up the field. And they're playing with a back 3 at times, and it's been very open and very spread.
Well, we've already mentioned it, but City players feel in the mood, which isn't great news for West Brom.
When you play for an academy as good as Man City's, you can't just take your foot off the pedal. You've got to go and go. You've got to impress the manager, you've got to impress everybody. You are good enough to make it at the top level.
You want to play in the semi-final. You want to make sure you're in the first team, and they've got plenty of options. There's the brains trust, Lee Downing and Shea Thompson. Louis Brady, the goalkeeper, is down. Max Moses is the keeper on the bench. If ever there was a game you didn't want to come into, it'd be this one as a goalkeeper.
Although you've got a chance to impress, I would say.
Yeah, you certainly will be busy.
He had one or two good moments, one or two moments that he probably thought he could have done better, Brady, tonight.
It's hard, though, when it's relentless, isn't it? When you're being called into action so regularly, you can't do everything right.
Just trying to reorganise things here, get some shape to his team, get some information into those players. It's also a learning curve for the coaches as well. Lee Downing will learn something tonight.
Yeah, there he is. He was assistant manager of the under-18s under Peter Gilbert. Lee Downing, and then graduated. I mentioned earlier he was a scholar at West Brom himself, so he knows the process, he knows what these players are going through. And he knows how hard it is when you don't make it. This is a team bottom of the under-18 Premier League South table, just 2 wins of 15, at a very high level, of course, that nearly went out against Harrogate in round 3 and did well to win at Stoke and Norwich, but today they found this a bit too much, and there's no shame in that.
So he saw a ductor, which is going to make kicking quite difficult for him, I'd imagine, Brady.
It'd be fun if we had a throwback, one of the full-backs or a midfield player coming to take the goal kicks. Half an hour to play here. Younger viewers watching on, not even knowing what we're talking about, Stuart, but it used to happen frequently, that, didn't it?
Certainly did.
Some goalkeepers who didn't like taking them.
There's another story in that, I can tell you, but probably not the time now.
One for the after-dinner circuit. There's Dunbar MacDonald, and now the excellent Finlay Gorman. Harrison Parker, stolen away. Now Onyemachi, can they at least make their mark? Onyemachi did the right thing, tried to open up his body, but deflected behind.
Yeah, there's two things he could have done there. You're right, you try to bend it round the centre-back, Noble, or he could threaten to do it and then sweep it onto his left foot. I think he's got the pace to beat the centre-half. If he sweeps it onto his left foot here, he then gets another shot away. But he's looked their most dangerous player, there's no doubt about that. Just hasn't seen enough of the ball, has he? Onyemachi.
I don't think I've commentated on too many games over the years when there's been a player called Divine on both sides, but we have that tonight in Divine Onyemachi and Divine Mukasa. Great first name. So here come the City changes. See Femi Fapetu and Dante Headley both getting ready there. It might be a triple change for Manchester City, so fresh legs. That's the other problem for West Brom. City's squad in comparison is going to be so deep. And they'll be starting to feel very, very tired right now.
Yeah, it's much harder without the ball than it is with the ball. And they've not had a lot of the ball, have they, West Brom?
So Harrison Miles makes way.
Yeah, very much the holding midfield player tonight. He just got on the ball and getting on playing it into the other midfield players, Mukasa and Gorman. Very effective.
And on comes Femi Fapetu. You were talking about these big clubs sort of transferring players, a former Arsenal youth player, Fapetu. Dante Headley will be introduced as well here. And as you can see, Warhurst and Heskey both making way. Luca Fletcher, another of the Reading Academy players, Reading born as well. Fletcher is on. And Braithwaite making way, so you can restart. 26 minutes remain. Here is Luca Fletcher. Cleared by Rhys Morris. Now Mafuni.
Sometimes it's difficult for the subs to come on and make an impression. Now you saw Headley just giving the ball away, number 16 in midfield.
There's Harrison Parker. Chance for these Manchester City substitutes to impress then. Mancuni and Dante Headley. And Christian Dunbar MacDonald.
Had much change out the fullback since he's been on. Dunbar MacDonald, the number 15.
The two outfield substitutes who remain on the Manchester City bench, by the way, are both sons of former Blackburn centre-half Christopher Samba, Tyrone and Floyd, along with the goalkeeper Max Hudson. Stolen away by Dunbar MacDonald. The game has rather lost its shape. Right now that suits West Brom. The fact City have made these changes just breaks up the rhythm a bit, but I don't think Lee Downing will mind that too much.
Good pressure again. It's not going to let him turn, is he? Does well in the end.
Yeah, the 16-year-old Adam Leclerc is a player to take from this game. The young West Brom fullback. Now Heskey. Had plenty of options there. You could hear the players screaming his name.
He did well in the air to start with. Mukasa trying to head it down to Fletcher. Seems to be okay, the goalkeeper, Brady.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to be all right to carry on, doesn't he, for the rest of the game. Level up from this in terms of age group at the club, Richard Beale, the under-23s manager for West Brom, and Chris Brunt and Dion Burton, both working with that group as well. Brunt, of course, took over the seniors, didn't he, before Mowbray was reappointed. Okorodudu making way, and Dante Ranger on to replace him. And Rio Palmer's struggled to make an impact. He was one of those selected by Stewart beforehand, but he's not really been able to get into the game. And one of the players left out, Oliver Bostock, is on for him. A couple of goals for him in this Youth Cup so far.
Yeah, we fully expected him to start, didn't we? Lee Bostock. He will now go and play as the centre forward. He's come out to this left-hand side, and Ranger's gone through the middle. He'd have been disappointed he didn't start. He's now got to prove it was the wrong decision. Very difficult with only 20 minutes left.
It's not the ideal situation for a striker to come on and prove everyone wrong, but if he could at least get on the score sheet. Hooked across towards Bostock. Dowd is another who's had a good game here for West Brom. Very neat and tidy in the centre of that midfield. Can play at centre half as well. This is better. Here's Ranger, and now it is Dowder.
He's looked lively enough, he's closed the ball down, he's been energetic, he's been one of their better players. He's quite right to have a go here, doesn't quite make the right connection.
Manchester City, so far 17 goals in 4 games in this FA Youth Cup, conceded twice, and of course it's 16 in 3, isn't it? Because 1-0 win, the late win against Crystal Palace in round 3. Remember, Arsenal and Manchester United go head-to-head tomorrow night, then the 14th of March, so a bit of a leap forward. It's Villa against Plymouth, and Watford already in the semi-final of this FA Youth Cup.
Yeah, as we saw at half-time, a very good performance by Watford against Southampton to get through to the semi-finals.
Great achievement for them. Here's Mukasa.
Back to Man City and their development of players, and there's been lots of players that haven't always made it into the Man City first team, but they're playing everywhere else around the country. Commentated on one a couple of nights ago, who's now playing for Barcelona, or back at Barcelona, Eric Garcia.
Harwood Bellis. But the quality's frightening, isn't it? It will happen too to some of these young West Brom players. They'll end up elsewhere, not at that sort of Barcelona level, I wouldn't imagine.
Parker just taking up that role in field now. I think he's gone to centre back. The substitute Headley has come on to play at right back. He's supporting the play here.
It's Dunbar McDonald. How about that little flick around the corner from Gorman? Just a delightful bit of skill. really caught the eye. Now Mfuni, who loves to get forward. And I know over the years there've always been centre-halves who are good on the ball, but modern centre-half seems very, very different. Every player seemingly such a ball player, whatever your position.
Well, if the coach is asking you to play out from the back and be composed and start most of the moves, you have to be good on the ball. A fairly easy game for the referee. And a couple of decisions over penalties, which he didn't give. You can't really criticise him for that. He's had a decent game. He's managed it well.
I think people are too quick to jump on referees for moments like that, but it's a split second. It's so hard. I think all you can ask is that they're in a good position, which he was, and you can't necessarily always see it.
And I think to give a penalty, you have to be 100% sure. And there's no way he could have been 100% sure about either of those.
So Floyd Samba gets the nod. Divine Mukasa makes way, who we thought had a quiet start, the former West Ham United youth player, but actually became very influential in the moments during which City won the match. There's Headley. Finlay Gorman. 15 to go, and really for West Brom, I think 5-0 would do from here. I hate to sound negative, but it feels like that kind of situation.
He's actually grown into the game, Parker. Since he's gone back into the centre-half position, he's had more of the ball. His passing has been excellent. He's looked very composed. I wouldn't say he's been under a great deal of pressure, mind you.
Had spells at Arsenal and Manchester United. Harrison Parker had an injury last season. One of the more senior players knitting this City side together. Here's Heskey. It's worth repeating that 15 goals in the under-18 Premier League. That's some going. First year in the under-18s. Just 17 in January. Liverpool born, of course. But been at City since the under-8s, as a few of these players have. There's Gorman, one of the more recent arrivals from Leeds United.
What we're looking for from youth team football now, we've had a spell where we're very much encouraged to produce passing footballers, players that can link up the play and play 1 and 2 touch. I think there's a call for players with individual brilliance, players that can go past people. We've seen it with Yamal at Barcelona, in the Spanish national team at 16 in the European Championships. That's what Oliver Rice and Kolo Touré will be looking to do. We've seen a change in the way Man City are doing it at the senior level. Doku and Savinho coming in, players with pace that can go past defenders.
Trying to shift it here, Dunbar, McDonald. Yeah, Kolo Touré there, assisting Oliver Rice. Well, this is going to travel a long way. It was a chance for Floyd Samba. Tired bit of defending from West Brom, but City couldn't jump on it. Here's Bostock. Fletcher. And of course, recent transfer trends have very much been towards clubs taking risks, if they are risks, on young players. Value of younger players soaring, and that makes life all the more exciting if you're in one of these academies. We used to watch these youth competitions over the years. Myself and Stuart have watched them for many, many years, and I think the question was often, you know, who'll make it? But I think once you're at this age group now, the majority of these players will have a career. It's just a question of at what level they have that career.
Go back to Manchester United winning the Youth Cup only 3 years ago, was it now? When Garnacho was going past people, scoring goals. Mainu was playing in midfield. A couple of years later, they were Manchester United's best players on occasions. Lewis Skelly was playing for Arsenal under Jack Wilshere when he was the coach. Ranieri you were talking about.
Here's Dupont. It's interesting, so often over the years in all those tournaments all around the world that myself and Stuart have watched, you see players who are the absolute stars of the tournament, and yes, they have careers, but not the ones you maybe had thought of. It's amazing how that leap, the consistency required, can find players out. Trying to thread it through there was Heskey. I always think of Letalic and Sinama Pongol, who looked like world beaters. Now, they both had good careers, don't get me wrong, but in the French age group sides, wow. Felt like you had World Cup winners on your hands again, you know, Henry's and Anelka's and that kind of thing. Zidane's, in the case of Letalic, but it wasn't quite to be.
Back to somebody like Max Meyer, who was, I think, the joint player of the tournament in a European Championship for Germany. Was playing for Schalke at 17, looked to be a world beater. It's never really happened for him, did it? Went to Crystal Palace and hardly got a game there.
Outside enough, outside, shoulders, run up.
There's Heskey.
Hold 18, hold. Get up.
Now Noble wants to strike one and drags it wide.
He's played well, not so much defensively. I think he's been beaten a couple of times too easily, but he's come out with the ball really well. He's seen space in front of him. He's made that 10-15 yards up and then played the next ball forward, which is always key, not just playing round the back for the sake of it. It'll be a frustrating game for these West Brom players. Must have been full of anticipation coming into it.
Hoisted in towards that far post. Oliver Watmuff has had very little to do. the way, I mentioned Letalik and Sanama Pongol, and if you thought that was a slightly niche reference, both former teammates of Regan Heskey's dad at Liverpool back in the day, but he had more of an impact, significantly. There's Idrissa Dowda. Now Reece Morrish. They'd like a touch of icing on the cake, and it very nearly arrives.
Well, that was all started by Noble again. Read the ball being played into the centre forward, came in, intercepted it, drove forward, played it into Fletcher. Never thought he looked overly confident about beating his man here. Slowed himself down. Didn't move the ball quite enough. Still got the shot in. That was a good situation for him, just to show his quality here. And Dupont got a slight touch on it.
Had a really good season, a real breakout season last year in the under-18s with double-figure goals, with 10 of them. Good finisher, Luca Fletcher. That was a West Brom head, but it took it away from danger. Chase on now for Onyemachi, who's another name to take from this game. One of the situations where if you swapped him over and gave him the kind of possession that City's wide players have had, we probably would have seen just how good a player he can be.
Yeah, he's the player, along with Idrissa, that probably Tony Mowbray would look at and say they've got a chance on the evidence of this game here.
Yeah, they have been short of goals, West Brom. It's probably a bit early, but got Armstrong newly arrived, Carlin Grant in the first team, John Swift, who plays in behind. Hooked in by Samba. Yeah, it's a foul. But as I said, the shining light for these young West Brom players, I mentioned it in the first half, is Tom Fellows, the right winger who's turned into a really elegant player and a regular in the first team, and he was not too long ago where they are. And that's the player that you therefore aim at, isn't it? George Shaw is about to come on, and Franchetti as well. Charlie Blackshields, and there's Adam Letlau. Had a good game, as Stuart said. The left back making way. George Shaw, 3 appearances for him in that under-18 Premier League. He's not a first-team regular. Cherchi, the attacking midfield player, making his second FA Youth Cup appearance. 1 goal so far in that under-18 Premier League. What a great training ground that is as well, to learn. Oh, it's stolen away. Well, Gorman probably did the right thing to try and return it straight back to Fletcher. Got away with one there, West Brom. 5-0 on 56 minutes and still 5-0 on 86. City have had a couple of half chances, little moments, but nothing of massive significance.
Not seen so much from Mfuni in the second half. He had more touches, I would say, than anybody in the first half, the way the teams were set up. He was on the left-hand side of that. In the main, a back three. Had lots of time to just walk forward and pick out passes and then make the next forward run. It's been easier for the other centre-halves to do it in the second half. Just the way the lineups have slightly changed.
Here's Parker.
What I'm always amazed at this level over the last few years, it's been the tactical understanding of the players. It's so much better than it used to be. It's under 18 level. Credit to the coaches, credit to the upbringing of the players.
Now Gorman. And such an underrated quality in footballers, isn't it? Remember Arrigo Sacchi was talking about how important the intelligence of his Milan players, for example, was, and how that made the difference.
Well, you're looking at everything. You're looking at skill level, you're looking at athleticism, you're looking at tactical understanding, and the one we talked about earlier, character. They're the four things you look at. And to be a top-class player, you need all of them to be at the very top.
Here's Gorman, who is on a hat-trick and fancies this, and as he cut inside on that left foot, you thought it might be his night. He's been outstanding anyway, but a hat-trick in a Youth Cup quarter-final would have been nice.
Talking about football intelligence, the fact that he keeps picking up that position where he hasn't been able to be marked. And he got himself turned, he's been good at that, letting the ball run onto his back foot, getting himself turned. On that occasion, he doesn't get the bend on it he's looking for. But been really impressed with him.
Well, we'll soon find out how much time will be added here. Of course, back in the day, they would have blown on 90 in a match like this, but now they play out the required number of minutes.
That's not the case all over the world in cup games.
Absolutely.
But I think there's going to be tougher games for Man City in the semi-final, and maybe the final. Get a true understanding how good these players are.
3 added minutes. Dunbar McDonald spreads it wide. Time for one last goal here for Manchester City, and they're certainly hunting one down. Goalkeeper will come and grab that though. Brady, who did make the 90 after all, after looking, as we approach the 70th minute, unlikely to do that. And a thankless evening for him in many ways. He's made a couple of good saves, might have done better with a couple of the goals, but there's nothing on him, that's for sure. Here's Gorman, trying to sort his feet out. Here is Heskey, looking for number 6, brilliantly off the line. Back in though, and off the line for a second time, and then in. And then in, and it's Gorman's hat-trick. With just about the last kick, with a couple of minutes of added time left. What a night that is for Finlay Gorman, thumped off the underside of the bar. A hat-trick in an FA Youth Cup quarter-final for Manchester City's number 8.
Good play by Heskey to start with. Yeah, that good clearance, absolutely. But then when it comes back to Gorman, he makes no mistake. Fletcher had a chance as well. Set up initially by Gorman. Comes inside brilliantly. And there's the block on the line from Dupont. He might get something on the next one as well. And then Gorman, a lovely finish with his right foot. What a player he's looked tonight.
And that's a real statement performance as well. Sort of thing that grabs the headline. We know how well he's played, but a hat-trick tells everyone else how well he's played. Terrific stuff from Finlay Gorman.
There you can hear Oliver Rice talking about pressing the ball again, making sure even with 6 goals to the good, with only 30 seconds left, he still wants his team to go and press the ball.
Punch wide by Cherchi. Here's Bostock. Good running from him, good challenge. Stuck to his task really well, Headley. Coaches love that kind of thing. They're 6 up, and still he's doing his defensive job.
Yeah, maybe If he had a bit more experience here, Bostock, he might just step across the challenge as it comes in. There's a risk by going to ground.
Not cynical enough yet, Stuart. Here's Bostock. These will be the final moments of the game. And that indeed is the final moment of the game. It was a most enjoyable evening at the Hawthorns, particularly, of course, if you're involved with Manchester City. There's the hero, Finlay Gorman, with a hat-trick on the night, the outstanding midfield player. And Manchester City broke the back of the task with 2 goals on the stroke of half-time. Warhurst had already given them the lead, but then Mfuni and Gorman right at the end of that first half. And in the second half, they came out and grabbed it. 2 goals in 90 seconds from Gorman and Heskey, and then Gorman rounding things off late on. It was a commanding performance from Manchester City, who after beating Crystal Palace 1-0 have scored 17 in 3 games and conceded just twice. Manchester City cruise in the end into the semi-finals of this FA Youth Cup. West Brom gave their best, but it was never good enough. It finished West Bromwich Albion 0, Manchester City 6.